What the fuck is up, everyone? Welcome back to
What's up?
And we got, you know what? I'm just gonna start calling these episodes Where in the World is Catie San Diego?
I love it. I'm
uh
gonna change my name.
yeah, every time you're on, it's because to talk about some recent crazy ass adventure you've been on. Um uh I did actually hear earlier though that our sister Grace is she was on a couple weeks ago, and she was currently stationed in Montana. She's still there, but I believe maybe already actually she's on like a 2-week break or something like that, where they'll be back in Sacramento, and then from there she's going to be in Los Angeles.
Yeah, starting tomorrow. She's on break.
Oh.
They're driving back on Sunday.
Oh, you heard about it?
Yeah.
All right, nice. Yeah, she's gonna be in LA and she's gonna be doing a bunch of crazy shit out there. Hopefully she stays safe.
Did you hear what she's doing?
Yes, I did. She's doing
Are you upset?
A little bit.
Yeah, me too.
A little bit. But mom said it means that she might get, because she's working with she's doing something with the frontline workers with the COVID at a testing site, like at the stadium or something out there.
Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. Hope mom said she might get the fucking vaccine though. So
I didn't think so, but possibly.
I mean, if she's
could, they're trying to get frontline people in first, and she's not technically a medical personnel, but still, maybe, hopefully, that'd be great.
So, Grace, if you see this, we're thinking of you.
We love ya.
But we're here to talk about you and your most recent adventure. You left the mainland during COVID times. Now
before we start, I just want to point out that I am not eating during this podcast. I frequently am when you interview me. And so I was very intentional. I don't even have any snacks out. I have a drink and that's it. So for the record, I think this is my fifth time on. It took me 5 times.
Well,
I also have on my Lost in the Dark t-shirt.
Oh shit. You can't even get those anymore.
Which is apparently vintage because you can't get it anymore.
Yep.
So I'm 100% prepared.
We're trying to work on some new designs actually right now.
Oh, cool.
Got a couple in the works, but yeah. So you went down. Who were you working with again? What was this? Peace Corps? What was this?
So it's very funny because it's an This is too big. I was with an organization called All Hands and Hearts, and it's actually the same organization that Grace, our sister, will be working with in Los Angeles.
Wow, that's like your guys' trips keep lining up.
Yeah, it's so coincidental. Yeah, so they're a nonprofit and they do disaster relief response work all over the world. And then they're also responding to COVID, which is like interesting to watch too. But yeah, I was down south in the Bahamas.
Yeah, in the Bahamas. Now, but what island?
Great Abaco.
Great Abaco, and this is one of the places that was hit really hard by a hurricane. I understand.
Yeah, so Hurricane Dorian hit last year. I mean, yeah, by the name you remember, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the bigger ones. Interesting. I didn't know this before I got there, but hurricanes that are so destructive, they retire the names. Like they have this naming system for hurricanes. So some of them, like Katrina, is certainly retired. Dorian, I don't believe is retired yet because it's only been a year, but is in the process of retiring it. And it was a category 5, but a lot of people down there that we spoke to, they like when they tell us their stories, they say it was a category 6, which doesn't exist, but that's how bad the winds were and the destruction was. So yeah, so Dorian was last year, September 2019. And the organization I was with, All Hands and Hearts, was on the ground a few weeks after the hurricane hit, doing evaluation of the area, and they got a program up and running, I want to say about a month after Dorian. And so they were there from maybe October into March of 2020 of this year. And then when COVID hit in March, all operations ceased. Everyone was sent home. And they just restarted programming when I went this year in September. And that was actually the first program they had started back up in the organization, up and running again, was this one. So I was there in September, and I just got back home last week. Last week.
Okay, so what kind of like jobs did they have you guys doing down there?
Originally, we were doing a couple different things. We were going to people's homes. They weren't usually there while we were there because of COVID. There was like a lot of restrictions, but we were going to residential homes and just clearing out debris. We went to one house that, I mean, it was just like full of stuff, right? Like there was stuff all out in the yard, belongings, furniture, everything else you can imagine, pieces of drywall, like pieces of roofing, right? So part of the process is just like clearing stuff out for people. Another part of the process is putting together roofs and putting roofs back on houses that will withstand high winds and hurricanes. I didn't actually get a chance to work on a roof, but what we ended up doing the majority of the time was working at the school. One of the local schools there was called Every Child Counts, ECC. And it's the only school in the Abacos, which is that group of islands that offers education for children with special needs. So kids from the surrounding islands come to this school to get an education, because they otherwise would just be thrown into a regular classroom and not potentially be as successful. And their school, right? And their school had like five buildings. And our goal toward the end of our time there, like the second half of our time, was for all of us to just be working on those 3 of those 5 school buildings, and to get those completed to a point where we could hand over the keys to the school staff, which we ended up doing, which was awesome. On our last day there, we had a little ceremony, and we actually gave the keys back to the ECC staff. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's crazy because like the people that live down there, these are people who have, if they've lived down there their whole lives, then they've probably experienced way more than one hurricane. And so if the people on the ground are saying, if this was not a category 5, I've never seen anything like this before, that's crazy. Like they would know. Like,
yeah, it is. And like, we didn't get a chance to talk to a huge number of people because of COVID, but we did have a few interactions with folks that we were able to like bring in and sit with 6 feet apart, mask and all of that, and they were able to share with us a little bit about their experience. And that was one of the questions that some of our people asked, was like, why, they said it in a nicer way, but basically like, why didn't y'all leave? Like, there were warnings, like, why was it that some people stayed and some people didn't? And a lot of them said, like, we live here, we go through hurricanes all the time. We thought this was like, we like, boarded things up and prepared in the way we normally would, but no one expected the level of devastation that occurred.
Yeah. And also to their credit, like, there's been plenty of times where everybody was sounding the alarm and then it wasn't really that bad. You know what I mean? Like, so there's that too,
right. And there's like a financial cost. There's many costs, but like there's a huge financial cost to leaving for a false alarm. Leaving for not a false alarm, but like, you have to leave your job, you have to move your kids if you have family, whatever, and then to like transport yourself somewhere. It's not cheap, and things there in general are not cheap. It's an island. Like, so many things are imported. So even just going to the grocery store, like, we were really lucky to be very, very close to one of the major grocery stores there that was still open, and a bag or Oreos. This was the big thing that we always got. Like, Oreos here cost maybe like $3, like $4. A pack of just like the same Oreos there was $8.
Wow.
I'm like, you're not living off Oreos, but that just gives an example of the cost and just how much things cost there. So the choice to pick up your family and leave every time there is a hurricane is like so financially huge.
Um, now, so you didn't really get to so there were COVID cases on the island. That's why you guys couldn't like interact with people. They had COVID down there.
Yeah, they did. Definitely not as bad as here though. Before we left, actually, we had to go and quarantine.
Yeah. Tell me about the travel process
Yeah, it
because
was.
I think you go from here to Florida and then down there.
Yeah, and like Florida's not the best place to be, but we were in an
Right.
Airbnb that we pretty much didn't leave.
Right. You were quarantining. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and some of this is the Bohemian regulations and their government regulations of how they're letting in, like, we're tourists, basically. That's
Mm-hmm.
like our classification for travel. Part of it is also the organization I was with and their requirements for how they wanted to handle COVID. But for us, we were all flying in. Normally, this organization opens the door to people from any country. Like if you want to go serve in the Bahamas, you can be from Nepal, right? Like it doesn't matter. For this particular project, they only accepted American volunteers just because of COVID. They were trying to reduce, that whole thing. So all of us came in to Florida and we were put into 4 groups immediately. And these were called our bubbles. So there were 4 Airbnbs, and whichever bubble you were in, that's the Airbnb you stayed at, and you were there for 1 week. Before we got there, we had to have a COVID test that was negative, and we had to like bring proof of that. And then once we were there in the Airbnb, the first day that we were there, they brought in someone to test us all again. So we were in the house, we're all there, everyone's negative there, but we're making sure we didn't get on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone magically, I'm quite surprised, in all 4 of the houses, everyone tested negative again on the second go around, which is what we needed to send to the Bohemian government to get our visas to travel there approved.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to have a negative test within a certain number of days of travel. That was the requirement. So that's why we did the second test. That worked. And then we flew there. And then once you fly there, at least this was the requirement. It may have changed a lot even while we were there. You had to quarantine for 2 weeks while you were there, which was fine for us because we were in our base, which was very secluded, and we were working at the school I mentioned, which was, our base was here. It was like literally right next door. Like we were tapped up next to it. So we were able to work there and still be quarantined.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So yeah. And then what about home though? What about, did you have to like quarantine and get tested to come back and all that stuff?
No, because the US doesn't have like those rules, right? So like that was just to get us in. It varies state by state, but for Michigan, it's recommended that you do, and I am like for the quarantine, but it's not even.
Have you gotten tested up? Have you gotten tested since you got back?
No, I will be getting tested before Christmas, but I've literally just been in one place, so I haven't. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's a crazy time.
It's yeah. Yeah, for everybody. Now, so like you were putting back together, like how badly damaged was the school? What did you like have to? I saw you, I was following you on Instagram and your story, and I saw you putting up like drywall and chopping wood with saws, and you looked jacked. Your arms looked huge. And
oh, that's the dream.
So is that what you were? Is that the kind of stuff? Mostly like construction kind of stuff?
Yeah, it was a lot of construction. So toward the end, like I said, our goal sort of transitioned into finishing those 3 schools because that became
priority.
Yeah, that became priority and also became something where it seemed like we could easily finish. And then I think too, part of it was like further mitigating our risk. So even if we're out in the community at a home, even if homeowners aren't there, it's just more potential for exposure. Right. So with those 3 buildings, it was a lot of finishing work, meaning just like putting the finishing touches. So it was I mean, we did a ton of painting and baseboards and caulking and like putting in doors. I built a couple stairs. Like we worked on a ramp, like a handicap ramp for this, for one of the buildings, things like that. Those buildings were further along because groups prior had worked very hard on them. But other buildings, for example, like one of them, the roof was still intact, which was incredible, but the whole top floor was wrecked. So we were actually framing walls and we were actually putting in, it's probably what you saw, like
some of it.
Bringing the lumber in and measuring it and putting up the framing so that the next, whoever comes in next could begin the drywall after the electrician comes in and puts in all that stuff. So it's a huge variety of stuff, which was cool for me because I got to learn a bunch of different things. And then some groups did get to work on a roof. We didn't, but that's okay.
How much experience have you had doing this kind of stuff before you went down there?
I mean, pretty much 0. Like,
okay. Yeah.
I
I've
mean,
never heard of you.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I've never. I'm always breaking walls down. So, like when I was in AmeriCorps, we did. Well, it's hard to say because when I was in AmeriCorps, we did similar work. Like I worked with Habitat for a few months, so similar things to that. That training was coming back, and even just basic of how to use power tools and like miter and jigsaws and different things. And then the school building the school building that I've done in other countries, again, similar in terms of it's physically laborious, but it was a different kind of work. Like we're doing finishing work, which is a lot of like painting and details. The work I was doing there was like mixing concrete.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Bricks, right? Yeah. So, I mean, we did actually have to mix concrete at one point, but yeah, different things. But that is one of the nice things about the organization is that they expect volunteers coming in to be unskilled labor. Like that's what you're classified as, meaning like you're just coming in and you're prepared to do and learn what is asked of you, but you don't have to come in with a bunch of skills. You just have to be willing to do it and try it. So that's nice. And then you get to learn too, right? So you go in.
Now you know how to do all that shit, and that's cool.
Hopefully.
That's cool.
Yeah,
shit.
if you need any walls built, don't call me, but I will maybe help.
Might give you a call.
All right. Let me know.
So yeah, but you're doing all this stuff, but at the end of the day, you're in the fucking Bahamas. I mean, it had to have been gorgeous.
It was hot.
You shut your fucking mouth, Catie.
It was so hot.
Complaining to me about the heat when we're up here in 20-degree fucking weather, and I'm losing my goddamn mind.
Listen to me.
It was
so hot. The first week I was there, it was over 100 degrees. We're in a place called Marsh Harbor. Marsh Harbor. That means it was wet, right? So it's 100 degrees. The humidity is high. I have to wear a hard hat because of safety. You have to wear boots, like work boots, and you have to wear a mask because of COVID. So I thought I was going to die that first. I was like, I can't do this. This is not the life for me. I'm not made for this climate. I am from Michigan.
I mean, besides the mask and the helmet, that's basically what most people wear to metal concerts when it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, right.
And I told you before you went, I told you that fucking the closer you get to that equator, that sun is a different fucking animal. Like it is.
Oh yeah, it's so hot.
When we went down to, probably 5 years ago now, when we went down to Key West, I didn't get it, or I don't know if I didn't get it as bad or if it didn't affect me as bad or whatever, but like all of us definitely got sun poisoning. Like I'm talking the people the 3 guys I went with were so badly burnt they were vomiting.
Oh yeah.
Like
it's really insane. Serious.
And we had sunblock on. You know what I mean? And they still didn't
It's
matter.
just exposure.
Didn't
Yeah.
matter. Like it was nuts. I
Yeah.
was like, it's different down here. This is fucking
It is. It's you against the sun, and the sun wins every time.
every time. You cannot beat the sun.
Yeah, it was a lot. I spent a lot of time hiding. Sometimes, I mean, our living situation was we were on a slab of concrete. It was just a slab of concrete, and we had our little pop-up like living pods.
Like barracks.
Yeah, so it used to be the grocery store that is now down the street used to be there. So imagine like a giant parking lot we lived on, meaning there was no shade, there's no trees, there's nothing to like for you to hide from. So there were days that we were out working in the sun, and I would literally crawl under a van because it was shaded just to get a few minutes out of the sun. Like it was insane.
Holy shit.
You just see my head like on the side of the van. I'm like, oh, like I'm telling people like, don't let anyone hop in their driveway because I'm under here.
Should have gotten like some ketchup and sprayed it around you.
Just yeah. It was
well, what about now see Bahamas? Okay, so I think you and Preston are the only people I've ever known to have gone to the Bahamas, but Preston was on a cruise, so it's a little bit, you actually stayed on an island for an extended period of time. You just stayed on the one island, right?
We were in the Abacos. No, so I did get a chance to go to a couple different islands.
Oh no shit! So you took a boat?
Yeah, we were able to ferry to other places eventually.
Okay.
The restrictions there changed a lot based on the rates. So, and it was almost island by island. So if your island had high rates, you were shut down. But if this island had high rates, they were shut down, so you couldn't go to them, kind of a thing. So the region we were on, Great Abaco, the region we were in was the Abacos. So we were able to go to those different keys, like Key West is off Florida, right? Like, so there were different keys of Great Abaco that we were able to go to, which was awesome. And also really interesting to see how badly the area we were in was hit compared to other places too. Like to see the difference of even like the closest one we went to was Elbow Key, and Hopetown is like the big city there.
Did you say Elbow?
Yeah,
like Elbow Lake.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Elbow Key is a 20-minute ferry ride from where we were, so very, very close. And even the amount of vegetation you saw from there to where we were in Marsh Harbor, because like trees were taken out and things like that, right? So there's not a lot of greenery where we were, and then we went across there and you see like trees and plants and bushes and things like that. Yeah. Even on the island we were on, we drove to the southern point, and it's one road. Like you take that straight down to Sandy Point, and it's about a 45-hour ride. And just driving down there, you see the line of where
45 hour?
No, 45-minute drive.
Oh, you said hour.
45 to an hour.
Okay.
And there's a line where you can see like where the hurricane stopped, basically. Like it goes to a point and it's like that's it. And then you begin to see the regrowth, and it's really crazy.
I've seen that with thunderstorms before. And actually fucking the craziest one that I remember like that is the year that we had that insane fucking ice storm here in Michigan.
Snowpocalypse.
Yeah. And that the night it happened, because it was like right before Christmas. And I was out at Preston's parents' house in like by Sinclair Shores and all that shit. Where they live now. And so we're all the way over here, right? And then it was literally like 40-45 degrees outside. Me and Preston were out in the car smoking a joint, listening to the radio in t-shirts. Like we were like, but we were doing that, and we were on our phones, and we were on Facebook, and all of our friends in Flint and Lansing are like, this shit is crazy. Oh my God, I hear trees breaking and blah, 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 blah. And like, and we're sitting there in t-shirts out in the car. Like, what are these people fucking talking about? And then I
Yeah, it
swear to
hadn't made
God,
it yet.
no, it never did. The next day we woke up, drove back to Flint, and we're driving. Everything's just there's no snow. Everything's normal and green, but dead. You know, it's winter. We're driving and we're driving and we're driving. Then all of a sudden, both like we're not like, you know, we're paying attention, but like kind of, you know, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like Preston was driving, and then we both feel like the car shake, and then we like look around. Everything is ice. Everything is white. Like it was literally right at the moment where that storm stopped. Is what we found. It was fucking nuts, dude.
That's crazy.
Oh man, that shit. Yeah, that shit. So to see that on a hurricane level would be fucking insane. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What
It was wild.
So did you have any like are there besides Oreos, are there any like what's some Bahama, like, do you try any Bahama cuisine? Any traditional Bahama they have meals? They have like a type of food down there?
It's like Caribbean food.
Okay.
We actually had, I think normally how these programs work is they have like it's pretty self-sustained. Like the volunteers make food and make like large community meals, and people share and you alternate tasks and chores. But because of COVID, they didn't want that. So they actually hired local cooks to come in, and they cooked breakfast and dinner for us, and we just made like sandwiches for lunch.
Local cooks, you said?
Yeah, so like people that live there.
Hell yeah.
And so they cooked some stuff for us that was really cool. It was like a lot of rice, like we had a lot of plantains. They also like tried to make some American things, which was really sweet. Spaghetti for breakfast is a Caribbean thing, which is interesting because I've had spaghetti for breakfast before in other places too. So I don't think it's just Caribbean.
Huh. I've never heard of that.
Frozen?
Wait, you are. Hold on. Can you hear me? Here we go. It's doing the thing, people. I'm sorry. It'll come back in a second. Just 1 second. It'll come back. Just 1 second. Don't do anything. Just give it a second. Shit. Sorry. Wait. Oh, no. Oh, no. Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Here we go.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It's Zoom's been doing this to me. We'll just like, it'll
you're
freeze.
still a little frozen on me.
Oh, no.
Not frozen, maybe just a little chilled.
Can you hear me?
Nah, you're frozen now.
Fuck.
Well, if we're still recording, all you lost in the dark podcast listeners.
Shit, I've never seen it do this. All right. Fuck it.
Real soon. You there?
Oh, yeah. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. It's been doing this. It's been doing that weird shit to me. I don't know what the fuck that is.
All good. I just did a little commercial for you. So if we were still recording.
We were.
Okay, good. Cool.
So yeah, you were saying like a lot of like, so like, but the closest like I guess like the closest like cuisine I'm familiar with to Bahamas in terms of physical location might be Cuban. Okay, I love Cuban food. I fucking love Cuban food. Like lots of rice and eggs and meat and, you know, stuff like that. I love that. Did you have anything?
Yeah, it's similar.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot of rice-based stuff and with like a meat. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Very similar.
I love that. I love that stuff. Out of all the places you've been so far, who had the best like traditional cuisine? What one was your favorite? Cause fuck, you've been in New Zealand, you've been to Africa a few times, Bahamas, South America.
That's such a hard question.
Fucking Scotland.
It wasn't Scotland.
But
high tea.
Granted,
delightful.
Granted, Scotland's the only time I've ever been out of this country besides Canada. But I will say, you cannot get fish and chips here like you can get there. Like I miss every fucking day. I miss those fish and chips. Like, oh my God, that shit was so good.
Do you really? Oh, that's so good. You should go to Ireland.
Oh, I want to so bad. I've been watching a lot of I've been watching a whole lot of Conan O'Brien stuff lately. And I watched the thing where he went to Ireland a few times and yeah.
He had that show that he goes to different.
Yeah. Conan Without Borders.
I watched that on a plane.
I love that show.
I watched the episode where he went to Cuba.
That's so my favorite
funny.
One. That's my favorite one.
He's so funny. I mean, he's funny, but yeah, it's a cool show. I kind of want that job.
Oh yeah. Cool. The Cuba one is my favorite because when he goes to the place where they make rum, I am in tears every time. It's so goddamn funny. But also my second favorite one is but everybody else's favorite one is probably the one where he goes to Italy because he's got this this guy that works for him, like an associate producer or something like that, named Jordan Schlansky. And this man is just dead inside. Like he is just the most shark-eyed. He might be a serial killer. Like he's crazy, but he loves Italy and like is obsessed with it, like on a ridiculous level, like over the top. And so Conan and him go to Italy, and Conan just fucks with them the whole time. It's incredible.
I only have I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, it's on. I think it's all on Netflix. It's all on.
Is
Netflix.
It okay?
Yeah. But yeah, they're great. They're great. But yeah, I'd love to go to Ireland. But so yeah, you don't know. You can't pick up a favorite.
I don't. No.
Did anybody? Did any? Are there any? Are there any
weird things? Different places. I mean,
What's the weirdest? Or top 2 or something.
Alpaca.
Whoa.
Alpaca in
where? New Zealand?
In Peru.
Oh, okay.
How's
that taste?
Ugh. It was nasty. I was a vegetarian for 2 years after that. Oh, it made me sick. Like, I don't know. It made it just. It was also in Cusco. There's really high altitude, and I'm very sensitive to altitude switches.
Cusco?
So I just wasn't. Cusco is
like the
Peru.
Like the guy from the Emperor's New Clothes cartoon?
Yes, he's named after that city, Cusco.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's Peruvian.
Oh shit.
Yeah, alpaca, I think, is probably the weirdest thing. I feel like I had crickets somewhere, but I don't think that's super weird.
Nah, I can get those at the store. You can get them at Purse's Pets and
yeah, you sure can.
I've eaten crickets before.
High protein.
The shit, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, no, actually, I thought of you the other day. I was watching a video. You know who Tom Green is? He's one of my favorite comedians of all time. I love Tom Green.
I don't think so.
He actually technically in a lot of ways, I actually credit him with inventing the podcast in a way. He kind of
inventing podcasting.
Yes.
Or your okay. I was like,
no,
your podcast?
Podcasting in general. Like he did something in
a style.
He did something in the mid to late 90s that was just like way ahead of its time. It was basically what we're doing right now, except he did it in the mid 90s. So the equipment was all gigantic and the internet wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, but he still was able to do it. He pulled it off. He was really into that, but he's a great, brilliant comedian. Yeah, he's in a lot of movies that I love, but right now during quarantine and all this, he's been, he adopted a dog and he's been driving across America in like a customized, dope ass van. And
this is really popular right now.
Oh yeah.
Van life. Yeah.
Yeah. And he found this fucking place that because it made me think of you because I know you went to Machu Picchu.
Mm-hmm.
And he found these ruins in like Arizona or New Mexico, somewhere out west in the desert. And literally, like, he like the roads he was driving on to get there, he basically had to off-road. Like they are not kept up at all. And he goes to these fucking ruins that look like should not even be, like, I didn't know stuff like that existed in America. Like, I didn't know ruins like that, like thousands of years old, actual buildings. Like, I'd never heard of anything like this. And that's what he kept saying in the video. He's like, I can't believe this isn't like a giant tourist attraction. I can't believe it's like you have to pretty much off-road to get here. But anybody can come here. It's not like trespassing. Like, anybody can. All you have to do is get in the car and go. But yeah,
There's
like,
so much stuff in the desert because who
Yeah.
goes out there really, you know?
yeah. Like, I was watching that and I thought about you going to Machi. I was like, this looks like a place Catie would want to fucking check out.
Out in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole van life thing is very popular right now. There's a lot of people that make a whole brand out of it.
Well, I mean, you know, when you can't fucking do anything else, but yet you can do that, and it's, you know, you can be safe. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, I wasn't even thinking about with COVID, but yeah, that's true.
I know that because normally he'd be doing a movie or you know, a stand-up tour or, you know, whatever. Can't do any of that.
Yeah.
They did just announce. What? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you brought up that you feel like he sort of paved the way for podcasting a little bit. Is podcasting not just modern day recorded radio?
It's basically talk radio. Yeah.
Right? Like,
it is basically talk radio, but the reason why podcasting is more popular than talk radio ever was is because we have no rules. We can do
right. There's no regulations on it. It's free form.
We can say, do, and show whatever the fuck we want. The only regulations come down to when you're dealing with private individual companies like a YouTube or something like that. And you have to follow their guidelines if you want to post on their platform. But
right.
But if you have a website and a host, a podcast host, then you can, you know, you can still do your normal, like right now, if we were to, like, I don't fucking know, start doing something crazy that YouTube doesn't allow, I could just snip this part out of the YouTube, but leave it in the audio and then post it to my host, or even post the video still to my website directly.
Just edit it out.
Right.
Censor it basically. Yeah.
For YouTube specifically. So they can take it down. But everywhere else you can do whatever you want. So yeah, I think that's why it's just, you know, it's a combination of a better avenue for creation and freedom in creation, and also it's
accessible.
Not just that, but we live in a world now where all you fucking need to do it is a cell phone. You don't need this fancy light, microphone, mixer, camera, laptop. You don't need any of this shit all you need is a fucking camera and a microphone, and you can start a goddamn podcast. And all it takes is sitting down and saying the first words, and then you're rolling. Like, so many people get so bogged down in like being worried, and then they record something, they get nervous, they don't want to put it out.
That's true. Starting is the hardest part for some people.
100%. But what I always say is, fuck it, just do it. And then
Nike.
But the biggest part of it for me at least is I mean, it's kind of a joke, but be selfish. Like, do it for yourself, not the views. Don't give a fuck about don't give a fuck about the views. Just, like, if you like doing it, just do it. And as long as you don't, if you put out a video and only gets 2 views, fuck it. You still put out the video. That's what matters. Yeah. You did your thing. Who fucking cares how many? You're doing it for you. Who fucking cares how many people look at it?
Yeah.
I'm doing this because one day when I'm fucking old, I'm going to want to go back and watch these episodes with my sisters and my friends. And you know what I'm saying? There is definitely a selfish
shout out to future us.
Right. Shout out. There's definitely like a selfish side of that motivation of like, I want to capture this stuff for myself for the future. And if I'm going to do it, why not put it out? So.
Yeah, I think the word selfish could also be passionate. I mean, I was watching something today about a guy who he did a podcast and has a YouTube and is like very successful doing that, whatever. And he talks about getting started, and he talks about long-term, I think he called it the 3-year rule, but it could be any number. It could be 5 to 10 years. The idea of like, if you say like for you, if it's for you and you're podcasting and you're like, I'm going to do this for 5 years and I'll make adjustments along the way. But after the 5-year mark, if it's not fulfilling for me or successful in the way I need it to be, like the input and the output, then I'll stop. But I'm going to commit to the 5 years, and how that changes the mindset, because then it's not like, oh, I'm super worried about this tiny detail or this tiny thing, because it's like, oh, we made a mistake in episode 6, but we're on episode 120 now, and it doesn't actually matter in the grand scheme of it. Right?
I don't even remember episode 6. So that's the other thing.
What episode are we on? We're close to
this will be 168.
168. I thought we were
168. We'll be
When did you start? What you started?
It was about
this
well, actually I got this
around
email.
this time too.
No, we started, I know we started, the first episodes were released the first week of March, either 2 or 3 years ago.
I think it was 2, like 2018.
I got YouTube.
3 almost.
YouTube sent me a year in review thing. It says I joined YouTube 1,049 days ago. So that's got to be 3 years.
So it'll be 3 in
March.
Yeah. Yeah, but you
That's
enjoy the
cool.
process, and that translates. Like when people listen.
That's the other part.
That's why I like your podcast, and like other people do this too. It's like you just sound like you're having a good time, and that makes it enjoyable to hear. You know, like that is part of it. It's
the coolest part about it is the long-term process. What I mean by that is the change. Like it's gonna start as one thing, and then it's gonna change. Like at some point, organically, it's going to evolve. So whatever you start with is not what you're. Yeah, it's whatever you start with is not what you're gonna end up with.
You were a Charmander, now you're a Charizard.
Yeah, I'm not there yet, but
I forgot what the middle one is on that. Anyway,
Charmeleon.
How do you remember that?
I don't know.
Fucking nerd.
But that's the thing though. That's because one of the things that I did when I started this one was I went back and I watched episode 1 of all my favorite podcasts of Joe Rogan, of Kevin Smith, of all the people I was watching at the time. So I went back and watched their very first episode to see like, okay, where'd these guys start? And Joe Rogan's first half hour of his first podcast is pretty much his forehead right here, trying to figure out if the fucking camera's on. Like it's like, so I'm like, okay, well, if the most successful podcaster in history started there and he's on episode 1,000 or something, I'm not too worried about where I'm starting. You know what I mean? Like I could
not at all.
There. Like it's that.
And yours already has evolved a lot.
Oh my God. Like, especially during, like this was, like, especially in the last 10 months, I can't believe everything that's happened.
Yeah, like how many people you've had on and like all that stuff. Like, it's cool.
Like I think back on it, I'm like, is that a dream? Is that real? And then I get on YouTube, oh shit, that was real. Okay, we actually did
that. It's here. Yeah.
What the fuck? Like it blows my mind. It blows my mind. Yeah, it really, like, I don't know. I don't know how we got this far.
Got from the bottom, now we're here. So how do people order t-shirts? We got a new t-shirt line. What's going on?
Well, no, we got new designs, and we're still trying to figure out how to do like the if we're gonna do just put more stuff on Amazon, or if we're actually gonna try to have like a merch company, work with a merch company or something. We're still figuring that out. But we do have I don't know, we got a new logo going, especially for the Dark Reflections episodes. You can see it in the thumbnail. Preston I think it's our new profile thing on Facebook too. But yeah, that's the new logo we all like really like right now. Preston made that. He makes all of them.
He makes all the stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron does a handful of the thumbnails now too, because he got Photoshop, but yeah, Preston does most of everything on that front. But yeah, so hopefully we're gonna have some new t-shirts soon. I need some new stickers. I'm almost out of stickers. And now we have I'm still working on the fine details, but we do have a podcast host. So hopefully we will be back on like iTunes and maybe even Spotify and Google Mute shit and all that shit
Oh, nice.
soon. Hopefully it won't just be YouTube.
You need to start sending me with a stack of stickers when I go places.
Actually, yeah, I could do that. It's probably a really good idea.
And then I can just hand them out and also put them up in international locations.
That would be sick. Oh, fuck. I should have thought of that. Damn it. That's a good
Hashtag
idea. Yep.
found in the dark.
Oh!
And then you can be a scavenger hunt.
Oh my God. That is
I'm here for you.
fucking genius, Catie.
I'm unemployed, but I am your marketing guru. I'm here for you.
That was phenomenal. Yes, I'm all in on that. But I mean, hey, speaking of that, what is next for Catie San Diego?
Oh God, that's a great question. Well, unemployment is here, and
well, I know
it's a
you.
tough market.
Well, but I mean, I know you had plans for the Peace Corps going somewhere else crazy, didn't you?
Yeah, so I'm not going. Did I tell you that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go. I don't want to like bash on the Peace Corps because I think it's still a great organization, but I was just really disappointed in how they handled everything going on with COVID. Like, of course they had to shut down. Of course they had to send people home. Like, everyone understands that. However, I was meant to leave this year in June.
Right.
And I found out in May that we were delayed until October. So then I was lined up for October. Sort of quit / sort of was like laid off from my job in July. And the week after, Peace Corps said, you're not leaving until next year, meaning 2021. And then
you left your job to join the Peace Corps.
Correct. Yeah. So that was in July. They said you're not leaving until the next calendar year in summer of 2021. And from then, I've gotten one email from them in terms of information, like communication, and it was like, check out this blog post about a previous volunteer. Like, it was just fluff, right? And that didn't come until October. So there was this huge gap of time where there was just nothing. And I won't get into the full details, but the process of applying and being accepted into the Peace Corps isn't just like a job where you interview and you go. You have to be medically, dentally cleared, psychologically cleared. If you've had any history of mental illness, you have to be evaluated. Like, it is a huge process that costs money because you have to go to the doctor, you have to go to the dentist. I had to get full dental x-rays sent to them. I had to get all this blood work done. I had to get vaccines, right? So it's like this huge thing that you do. And I had all of that completed, but all of that expires within a 1-year time frame. So if I were to go again next summer, I would have to redo that whole process.
So they just
additionally
fucked everything.
And I haven't heard anything from them, and I'm actually not convinced that they're going to be sending volunteers even next summer. Like, they said tentatively summer 2021. I understand that they said that and they're trying to keep people, but I just don't believe that they will, and I don't think it's their fault. I just think safety wise, like, they won't be able to. And for me, it just became a thing of like, how many times do I shuffle and like do temporary part-time things until this happens before I realize that it's not going to happen, or it's just like much later than I wanted to do it. So that's part of the reason too. I'm really glad I went to the Bahamas, because it was not necessarily a similar type of work, but it was like 3 months somewhere else, similar climate, like hot, wet climate, which I now realize I would not have lasted 2 years because it was terrible. Like, I have so many scars from bug bites that I scratched, and I don't like the heat that much. So anyway, long story short, yeah, I don't think I'm going anymore.
Okay. Well,
I'm not going.
Would you ever do something like you did with this? What's the organization called again?
All Hands and Hearts.
All Hands.
Yeah.
Hearts?
So So that's sort of what I'm thinking is like my Peace Corps. A lot of people think that if you like to travel, you go to the Peace Corps, and it's not about traveling. Actually, it's about staying in one place
Yeah.
all for 2 years, right? Like
Yeah.
you're actually slightly discouraged from traveling because they want you to heavily integrate into your community. So they
Yeah.
want you to stay put and make the connections there, which totally makes sense.
It
I
does.
think
It does.
that would have been awesome and appealing. However, I was living in Detroit for 4 years doing community work, and I can tell you that after 2 years, I feel like I was just beginning to open those doors that I wanted to open, and that was in a place where I'm from this state and I speak this native language. It's
Right.
not necessarily the same somewhere else. So I'm like, also in my head, how much work am I gonna actually be able to accomplish within that time frame? And the answer is not a lot. And then does that mean I'm going for the experience of me having this experience in a new place, or am I going more for the value that I can like provide to this community? And I think it's just more heavily the volunteers experience, which you can argue is good or bad, but it's not really what I was looking for. And I think I realized that
Fair enough.
in the Bahamas.
So you
So
are,
yeah, I don't know.
you are, but you may go like do something with a different.
Oh, I'll be bopping around doing things, I'm
Fair enough.
sure. I don't know what, but yeah, probably
And al-
more short term
and
things than that.
also, are you, now that you're back in Detroit, are you going to like go back to any of the, like Ellie's house or anything like that?
Oh yeah, like I'm already doing stuff for
Oh,
Ellie's house
awesome.
again. So
Awesome.
yeah, and that was the other piece of it too, is like I'm so invested in the work in Detroit that even being away for 3 months, they had several people like covering the work I did for Ellie's house, and they managed, like it was fine and they got it done, but I still felt this pull of like, well, that's like what I'm meant to be doing, and like
Mm.
I'm invested there, and like I'm so committed to Detroit. Why would I pick up and go somewhere for 2 years when I could perhaps maybe like just do these smaller things where I can still get what I want out of the experience without uprooting my life for 2 years.
Right. Right.
So yeah. So we'll
That
see.
makes a lot of sense. So no current big adventure plans right
Well,
now.
the big
Katie,
adventure is to find a job right now.
right now, Katie San Diego it's Katie San Detroit.
Yeah.
Um, hell yeah, hell yeah. Well, shit. I think that's. Yeah. Two more things. One, any like, what was like the craziest, weirdest thing? Like any like that happened in the Bahamas? Like any like devil's grip kind of shit, or like anybody
Not
get like some
that.
weird disease or bug bite or
I
something?
mean, I would say luckily no one in our group got COVID, which is a big thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
People did, myself included, get isolated. And so there were like many different kinds of processes, but like I was at work one day and I had a stomach ache and I was like, I'm not feeling good. So I went back to my bunk and slept. And when someone came to check on me, they were like, yeah, we're going to go get you COVID tested just in case. And I was like, I promise it's just a stomach ache. Like it's not anything. So if you go and get taken to get tested, they have to isolate you from the rest of the group until your test comes back, right? Obviously. So I spent some time in isolation, a couple days, 3 days there. I actually got, well, this is, yeah, you'll like, I don't know if you'll like this, but before I went to the Bahamas, I was COVID tested like perhaps 5 times because I wanted to like, I was like, working the election. So I got tested after that. I got tested once before coming home to see grandma. And it's hurts. Have you been tested? It hurts, but it's like not that bad. Like you get over it quickly. When I went to get tested there, they came up to the car. I'm sitting in the back seat. So they came to the car. They're fully dressed and masked, right? So I just roll down the window. They go and go. And then I put my mask back on. We drive down the road about 20 seconds and I'm like, oh my God. And I pull my mask off and it is full of blood.
Oh,
And I
God.
mean full of, like, they got me so bad that in the poor woman that's driving me, our program director, I was like, my mask is full. She's like, oh God. I was like, how do you do with blood? She's like, not good. I was like, okay, then don't look. But my face is full of blood. It looks like I was just slashed in the face several times. So we get back to the base where everyone is, and everyone's super nice. They're like, oh, because I'm about to go into isolation. It's a bummer.
Right.
So they're like, oh, trying to, like, someone brought me snacks and, like, someone brought me water and all this stuff. And I just get back and I'm like, and I'm just washing the blood off my face. I can't go to the sink because that's contact. Other people are there. I have to go to my isolated area. So I have a pitcher of water and I'm just draining the water, splashing the blood off my face as like 10 people are standing here. I'm like, it's fine. It's cool. No, it's cool. I just, yeah. And I'm just like, there's blood everywhere. It was horrific. Horrific. I don't want anyone to not get tested based on this experience. This was a bohemian experience at this particular medical center. I've never had this experience before with testing, but it was pretty rough.
I haven't heard of anybody having that. That's fucking wild.
It was nasty and awful. And I was just sitting there like, of course, right? Like,
right.
Of course.
That sounds like the time I broke my nose. That's
it was so nasty.
That's crazy.
Another time, have you heard of poison oak? It's similar.
Of course.
Yeah, to like poison ivy, poison wood. There was poison oak at the school that we were working at, and some of the girls got it, but you have to understand too, we're in a disaster zone, so the medical care is not only limited, but it's just not top-notch care because what doctors are still there or have come to this area, right? Like, it's just not it's not likely to be the best care that you can possibly receive. So these girls in another group, they got poison wood and they have spots and they're scratching. So they go to the clinic, and the medic at the clinic is like, well, it could be poison wood or it could be the chicken pox. So we're going to send you guys back with this and monitor for a few days. Like, these are grown women. Like, this is not the chicken pox. They were in vegetation. Like, they know it was so funny. So that was the on-running joke. It was like, oh, don't get the chicken pox. So that was weird.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise, though, I will say pretty uneventful medically, which is great. Someone cut their hand and had to get a few stitches. It wasn't me. No big deal. Like, we're working with power tools and stuff, like that's bound to happen, but beyond that, very minor stuff. So thankfully, and no COVID, which I still think is amazing. Our group was, we started with 30 people and not everyone stayed. Some people ended up quitting, but there was 30 volunteers and about 10 or 11 staff. So like over 40 people there. And coming from all different places in the US, going to this one place in the Bahamas, like no one brought it and no one got it. It's just like, I mean, we're just really lucky. And there was a lot of safety measures in place. Of course, it wasn't just luck, but it was really good.
It's so wild how it seems like such a, shit or miss. Like, it's just so weird how it like affects people differently and travels differently, and it's just such a fucking bizarre thing. So weird. But all right, I mean, we've been going for almost an hour, so I got one more question for you, because we are sitting here exactly, this won't air until next week sometime. But yes, we are sitting here 1 week before Christmas, before it's 2020 COVID Christmas. So I was curious, do you have like what's your favorite Christmas tradition?
Christmas Eve shots.
Yep.
That's gotta be ours, right?
I mean, yeah, especially lately. Honestly, especially ever since that one year we drove home in the snowstorm, I'd never tasted a better alcohol in my life.
My God, that was terrible. I was in your car, and that was the worst.
That was death-defying.
The roads were so bad. We had a long drive. You were angry. I was angry. it was right after there was a dog situation. Preston's dog ran out, and we were all out in the snow
Because it was
looking
a
for the
bunch of
dog.
fucking adults let the dog out. Like,
A bunch of drunk adults accidentally let the dog out. So
ran
we're all
away.
out running around looking for the dog so she doesn't get hit or lost or whatever. Eventually find her, but everyone's amped up on that. And then we go home, and the roads were, I mean, how long did it take us to get home? 3 hours?
I mean, yeah, it's an hour and a half drive. Normally it took us like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, it was bad.
And it's not like there's a lot of traffic.
No, and these are all Michigan drivers that are used to the weather. It was just extreme. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never, to this day, that's the worst. That's I'm like,
bad.
I don't totally know how we didn't go off the road or die. Like it's to this day is.
We went like 15 miles an hour. Yeah.
So Christmas Eve shots. That's your favorite Christmas tradition.
I mean, no, but like that's a nice thing that we all do. And
Yeah,
I feel like we started doing that after Grandpa passed, right? Like that was the.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that's kind of how it started. It was sort of like, not like he did a bunch of shots with us all the time or ever,
or that he wouldn't have.
Right, but it was just like a tribute to him.
It was also kind of like he passed around the same time, like everybody was over 21 now. You know what I mean? Like,
right, the age lineup with the with the grandkids, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite. That's for sure.
I mean, I watch Elf every year.
Elf,
Wolf
Grinch,
Girl, It Doesn't Fail, Grinch.
Jim Carrey's Grinch is.
What did we watch? Tim Allen's Santa Claus.
Oh, that's a pretty good one.
I like those two.
Have you guys seen Krampus?
Krampus? I don't think I've seen that.
Tell Jordan you guys need to watch.
Is that one angry?
Krampus is the one.
The angry Santa
from Germany that beats bad.
Oh.
It's like a horror Christmas comedy.
See, I'm not interested in that.
Hold on, though. The guy from the fucking guy, God damn it, I can't remember his name. Leslie's husband in Parks and Rec is the main guy in it.
Good for him. I'll watch him in the Parks and Recreation. I would like my Christmas movies to be funny and happy. I don't need any horror.
Death.
I don't need any death or destruction. Just my personal take on the holiday season.
All right. You'll shoot your eye out. All right.
You'll shoot your eye. Yeah.
All right. Well, fuck it. Let's wrap this one up. I was kind of only expecting like 20 minutes. We ended up going for like an hour.
We always do. We're a chatty family.
That's true. That's very, 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 very true. I'm actually going to even try to get, me and Aaron were talking about like a Christmas special, which, I don't know if we're going to pull it off yet or not, but if we do, this might be in that.
Ooh.
Because we were like, what if we got like our sisters and our parents on the podcast and like put it out as a Christmas special?
Cute. Yes.
I thought that'd be a cool idea. So that might happen. We'll see. Aaron's actually coming over tonight, and so we'll probably talk about it. One of our favorite bands, Black Dahlia Murder, is doing Detroit's own baby. Is doing it's called Yule Them All. It's like a Christmas special live stream thing tonight, and he's gonna come over and we're gonna watch it.
I think TSO is doing a live stream tonight,
yes,
too.
They are. Yes, they are. That's true. That is true. I kind of want to see it. Because that is one of my favorite Christmas traditions that can't happen this year.
Yeah, it's going to see them.
Seen them so many fucking times. Best time ever, hands down, was we did get to, I think, me and Preston went and saw him in Detroit one year, the night before Christmas Eve. So it was like 3 days of just the best Christmas. It was awesome. It was sick. But all right, we'll wrap this one up. Everybody watching this right now, thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a wonderful fucking Christmas. Make it the best you can, but don't give your grandma COVID.
Don't do it. Don't be that guy.
I know people that like went and saw their family for Thanksgiving, and then a week later they tested positive, and I'm like, oh shit, like that's holy fuck, like that's exactly what we're trying to avoid.
A good person.
Yeah. So but yeah, all right, Katie. here, I'll end this recording. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for watching. And
Merry Christmas.
yeah, Merry Christmas, heavy fucking metal Christmas. And we'll be back again very soon, as always, with a lot more. Thank you all so much for watching. Good night.